Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, November 25th. We are looking at Window Trader's market profile of the ES and SPY, and much bigger snooze than we even expected. We did about 900,000 pre-market. Thought we might do something at least in the first hour. We end up doing nothing at all. We end 7 for 7 wide. Regular trading hours ends after G, so everything after that will be the overnight. We end up with an inside day. We traded inside of Wednesday's range. Remember, ES had a poor high on Wednesday. Well, today's high is weak against that as they missed it by a tick. SPY missed Wednesday's high by 2 cents. So the weekly high is right? There's no excess whatsoever. Triple Qs also with an inside day. They did not take out their IB. They did take out their overnight low. Russell took out yesterday's high, Wednesday's high, but didn't take out either side of the IB, but took out both sides of the overnight, which is interesting. And SPY and ES did not get their overnight high, overnight high or low, but they did get the IB high. Took one trade today and broke even on it, and that was an A period. When we got back below the opening, I thought good odds to go get the overnight low. Took a 2-lot, made a couple of points on one. I was holding on to one to get the overnight low. Didn't happen, came back up, took that one off for a 2-point loss, broke even. And that, my friends, was the only trade I took all day. I would have taken a short against these wide overnight pocs if it had gotten there, but it never did. I'm going to recap all of these charts. So let's just get to the destinations and then we'll get to that so this video isn't that long. For the upside now, we only had 7 time frames, but we traded 7 for 7, so I will carry that forward. 402.33, that's C's low, 7 for 7 wide. Today's high of 402.91, and then 402.93 is the weekly high. For the downside, 401.54 is today's low, and you should have all the other ones to the downside in SPY. In ES, we're 7 wide at 33.25. Today's high of 39.25. And then the weekly high, which is a poor high of 39.50. And for the downside, we have today's low of 25.25. Now let's go to the charts and break them down as we head into the last week of November and into December, which has been a pretty decent fourth quarter so far for the bulls. First one this year. And right now, I still see this market grinding higher, at least until we get to CPI and Fed next month. And if that's okay, again, we could have a nice month in December with a Santa Claus rally and then see how much we take off these losses for the year. Russell, once again, this is just a huge balance on the monthly. If you're going to include August, we're talking a 7-month balance, right? That's a market that's waiting to come out of balance. And generally, the longer it is, the more it'll come out with explosiveness. Look at this, for example. Now, you could blame COVID, you could blame whatever you want, but the bottom line is they were in balance for a long time, and when they finally came out of it, it was to the downside, right? And exploded to the down. Same here. We had a 9-month basic balance, came out of it here, finally came out of balance, went down, balance, down, back to balance. So balance on the monthly for the Russell. Weekly. Now, believe it or not, the weekly is up. We have an inside week. That does not stop the one-time framing. So the weekly's been up for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is week 6. Now, we didn't get any distance away from last week because it's inside. And the prior week didn't get much. So the trend is slowing. But for now, believe it or not, I would call the weekly up to balance since we have the inside week. And then on the daily, I would call the daily up for now. I would have had this in like a 4-day balance. Wednesday came out of it a bit. Today we came out of it a bit more. So we closed above the 200-day moving average. Not by a lot, but we closed right above it. And so right now I'd call the daily up. So the Russell, the monthly's balance. The weekly is up to balance with an inside week. And the daily is up. On the triple Qs, the monthly is balanced. It's just purely a 3-month balance, right? They've got to take out September's high. They're nowhere near it. 3-month balance. Weekly is balanced. They took out last week's low. barely, but they took it out. Let me just make sure of that. Just want to see something real quick. When did they take that out? 280.46. Yes, they did. So the weekly is back in balance. They took out last week's low. I would call this a 2-week balance. So if you take out this week's low next week, I'd go down on the weekly. If you take out not this week's high, but the previous week's high, I would go back to up. Now, we barely took out that weekly low by 26 cents. So just like IWM is an inside week, you can treat this as an inside week and go with it whichever way it comes out and monitor it for continuation or lack of. So the monthly is balanced, the 3 months, the weekly is balanced 2 weeks, and the daily, they're still in balance. They never came out of balance at the upside. So it's a lot different. And they have an inside day to day. So Q's is a market waiting for more market generated information. And with an inside week, basically, and an inside day, they're looking to come out of it, hopefully with some tempo and volume, whichever way they do, as they are in balance in all 3 time frames. And then for us in the SPY and the ES, 3-month balance on the monthly, above that trend line from pre-COVID lows, but it's still balanced on the monthly. The weekly is clearly up for us, okay? We did not have an inside week. We took out last week's high by not by a lot, but we took it out by like 62 cents. So the weekly is one time frame up for 3 weeks. This is my next destination. That trend line from the lower highs on the weekly, which would put us above September's high. And if you ever get acceptance above that, then we would be looking at August high. So the monthly is balanced, the weekly is up, and the daily is up, with the gap up here and the 200 being our main focus. Thanks for the likes and subscribing to this YouTube channel. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.